guys cheated.
We talk every day.
He cheats every time.
She basically created the modern vocabulary for clothing.
The men's suit as we know it is the Armani suit.
He saw fashion in a different way. He saw how to bring it to a much broader audience.
I'm just getting destroyed by Anna here.
Yeah. I love that you're doing this to him. I love it.
By the end of April, what's the largest company? Unrelated to AI, what's the largest company in the world? And currently, NVIDIA is the largest company by market cap in the world, correct? We only got a month. I'm sticking with NVIDIA here. You're not?
I haven't made a decision yet. I'm going to go with Google.
But yeah, I feel that.
Okay.
Okay.
Anna, why don't you introduce Andrew?
Yes. Well, Andrew Bolton is the curator in charge of the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We have worked together for over 20 years, and this year it's his 10th anniversary as head of the department, and we will be opening with our Spring 2026 exhibition, an exhibition that is called Costume Art, and it opens to the public on Sunday, May 10th, and it explores the artistic representations of the dressed body over time, featuring over some 400 objects from the Met's vast collection. And our annual Met Gala, a fundraiser for Andrew's department, takes place on May 4th and celebrates the exhibition opening.
Can I ask one question? When you were both in the UK, did you have any knowledge of each other way back in the day?
No, we met at the Met.
You met
We
at the
met
Met.
at the Met, and we have worked together now, as I said, for 20 years.
And he comes from an anthropological background, and you come from what I would say cultural, right? And was the first meeting when you met, the first time over the Met, what was the kind of...
Well, I think the first exhibition that you and I worked on together, Andrew, if I remember rightly, at the museum was Alexander McQueen. We've worked together for so long, but what's so exciting about this year, particularly the opening, is that we are opening our new galleries, which, if you're familiar with the Met, what used to be an extensive gift shop are now opening in May will be the Condé M. Nast, and that's our founder, galleries, which are going to be devoted entirely to the Costume Institute's annual spring show. So it's, how many feet is it? How many?
12,000, I think.
Oh my God.
It's going to be the biggest exhibition space in very prime real estate, right as you walk into the Great Hall at the museum dedicated to costume. And this is entirely due to, the success of Andrew's exhibitions, but also the intelligence behind them, the thinking behind them, how it always seems to find, like with Superfine last year, a cultural moment that needs to be discussed and interpreted in a way that reaches these enormous audiences. I mean, we've just had so many incredible experiences over the years, whether it was going to China together or going to the Vatican many, many times when we were doing a show about the influence of the Catholic Church on costumes. So and when we were talking about the conversation that we're having today, one of our parameters...
You guys cheated. We'll compare.
We talk every day.
He cheats every time.
I cheat every time.
He's an agent, of course he does.
He goes last every time.
But we talk every day, but really one of our criteria was that we wanted to choose designers. We did choose designers that are no longer with us because we felt that meant that we were able to really step back and examine the true influence of their work. But also it was very important to both Andrew and to myself that these designers had been represented in many ways, either with exhibitions that had been dedicated to them or had been included in many of Andrew's exhibitions, because we wanted to make sure that these were designers that we felt would be included in a Met exhibition.
Did either one of you learn something new as you were having these behind the scenes conversations?
I think we went for different elements. I think
Andrew conversation in your head.
Andrew went very much for design, right, and construction and the influence of the actual work. And I looked at it more from a cultural point of view and how the designers...
So that's anthropology to go.
Yeah. But both are relevant. But I was coming at it like, who changed the course of fashion? Who influenced the world in a different way? Who took us outside of our box?
And you were like, whose hands really did the work?
Yeah.
We had this one. We did one on art with Jeffrey Deitch
And Jeffrey Koons.
and Jeff Koons. We thought it was going to be pretty simple, and it didn't get simple at all. So, okay, Andrew.
Well, Anna has been at Vogue now for almost 40 years, and she currently serves as the global editorial director of Vogue and also the chief content officer of Condé Nast. She's also a trustee of the museum and chairs the Met Gala every year. She's also a great friend and a mentor over the years and gives me great advice. The best advice was no is a very good answer, and edit.
Does anybody actually ever say no to her?
Andrew's strength is not, he doesn't find it easy to say
No, I'm not very good at saying no, but I try. But we've worked together for 20 years. The first show we actually sort of worked on indirectly was Men in Skirts.
Yes.
Which was
Mini skirts.
Men in Skirts.
Men in skirts.
That was a fun.
And that was in 2003, I think.
Okay, so since you guys compared notes, which one of you want to go first?
Can't we just go backwards and
No,
forwards?
you cannot. You cannot break the rules on that. This is not.
We're talking
You know,
about
here's the great thing.
great
You
rules.
just said the best thing to say is no. No. Okay. So you should start with your four.
Okay. Okay. My four. What they have in common, I think, is how they have changed the trajectory of fashion history. And I start off with Charles Frederick Worth, who was the founder of haute couture in the 1850s. And in a way,
This is your George Washington.
he's the George Washington. And he is somebody who, in a way, created the blueprint for the modern designer. So he presented himself as an artist. That was his sort of self-presentation.
And how did that manifest itself?
He wore a fez hat. He wore loose clothes. So his actual
Eccentric.
persona looked like an artist.
And nobody had kind of done that before, kind of.
There had been dressmakers before. Rose Bertin, who was a dressmaker to Marie Antoinette, and Leroy, who was a dressmaker to Empress Josephine. But I think what's extraordinary about Worth, he was the first couturier. He was the first designer to have international recognition. He was the first designer to actually sign his work. So the label was actually Charles Frederick
He
Worth.
created that?
So he was the first one to do that.
Wow.
He was the first one to have seasonal collections, which became the blueprint for the fashion system. So in a
So
way,
he had a spring, he had a fall.
He had a spring, fall.
And wasn't he also first to do ready-to-wear in some degree?
Not really, but what he did do was create interchangeable patterns. So these patterns allowed for a better fit, and it meant that women could actually send one of their dresses to him in Paris, and he could fit it around that particular dress. So at that point,
Nobody had done that.
And nobody had done that before. So these pattern pieces that were interchangeable gave more diversity and a better fit. He also supported the Lyon textile industry. And he was so extraordinary. He was also a great salesman. So when you went to his atelier, there was a room that was completely blackened out. And it had different lights, so candlelight, gaslight, finally electric light, daylight. So you could see how clothes looked in the day and in the evening when the woman was dancing in a ball gown. And he would also have models who he hides particularly to look like his clients and ask them to lose weight or gain weight if the clients had gained weight or lost weight. So he was the full picture. And he came sort of into power, I suppose, in the 1850s with the crinoline, and he very much pioneered that look through Empress Eugenie and Winterhalter, the painters of Winterhalter. And he then sort of instigated the bustle look, and then the princess line. The princess line is a dress that's just one dress. So when you think about the last half of the 19th century, all those changes of silhouette was really Charles Frederick Worth. So in a way, the Gilded Age wouldn't exist without him. It would be less golden, at least, without Charles Frederick Worth.
He was British, but he did most of his work in
British,
France.
but did most of his work in France, yeah.
Okay.
Which was a pet peeve to the...
I definitely didn't have him on my list. Okay.
So he's my George Washington. And then the next one I've chosen is Madeleine Vionnet. And again, what was extraordinary about Madeleine
What year?
Vionnet? So she began in the teens. Actually, no, she began in the north, in the sort of early 1900s, in Gala. She began her own label in the sort of the teens, really. And she was...
Were there so people had their own labels?
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
Back then?
Yeah. After Charles Frederick were. So,
Right.
And then you had Pingo and Doucet.
Right.
And I think what was extraordinary about Madeleine Vionnet is that she pioneered the bias cut, which is
What is
the
that?
bias cut is where you cut fabric on a 45-degree angle to the warp and weft. So it gives much more fluidity and more suppleness to garments. So it would allow almost to create a sort of second
And they all
skin.
did women's clothes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Vionnet, so when you think about the screen goddesses of the 1930s or the gowns on the red carpet at the Oscars, it really is because of Madeleine Vionnet who created the bias cut, which allowed women to move more freely. It was about fabric that draped the natural contours of the body. So, and didn't need any fastening or understructure. So it really was like Mercury on the body. So in a way, she was the first designer to treat fabric in a really modern way. She was also the first designer, Anna might know this already, she was the first designer to show a nipple in Vogue in 1932
What?
through her bias cut dress, because it meant that you didn't need to wear any
That was definitely the
undergarments.
first time.
Oh, to show you
So
didn't need
that
a bra,
was-
you didn't need any
you didn't need
undergarments.
to
This
wear
was-
Was it on the cover?
No, I don't think it was the cover. No, it was in the pages,
had drawings at
hidden
that
in the
point.
pages.
Who was the editor?
1932.
A risk taker.
Yeah.
I mean, that they permitted that must have been blasphemy.
But that shows you how modern she was, and it was very much
Oh, we have to get a copy of
taking
that.
lingerie ideas like
We
peacock
have to get a
edging.
copy of that.
So she's my number 2.
Okay.
Then number 3, Chanel, Coco Chanel, and again, I think it was George Bernard Shaw said the two most important women of the 20th century was Coco Chanel and Marie Curie. And in a way, she was the first woman to live the 20th century. And in a way, if she didn't exist, the 20th century would have to invent her. She basically created the modern vocabulary for clothing and subverted sort of very traditional paradigms of fashion. So she'd use jersey, she'd take influences menswear, sportswear. She created this vocabulary of garments, the 2 or 3 piece suit, which is immediately identifiable.
Still.
Even today.
Today.
And the fact that, Karl, who Anna will talk about, would take those ideas and then completely modernize it, but it still remained the Chanel suit. So I think there's very few designers, who created a vocabulary that is
She
so
survived World War
instantly-
II in an interesting way.
Interesting way, yeah, interesting way. It's
We're
interesting.
talking about the work.
I know.
Although she did close her house.
She just went to Giant the other night. We can.
Just,
She did close her house during the Second World War, so she didn't. No one profited from her work, and also created a sort of iconography of her work. So the camellia, the bow, the two-tone pump, and the two-tone pump came out of
Incredible.
It was, and the purse, the quilted purse,
pearls,
and the
bag,
pearls,
yeah.
and fake and real jewelry.
Well, how did she learn her
She
craft?
started off what's fascinating about her is that she started really as a courtesan, and what was fascinating, all those women who rejected her because she was, came from a very hard scrabble background, and what's fascinating is that she was so chic, way beyond them, that eventually they went to her to dress her. So a woman that was once shunned by aristocracy began to dress like her. So she was her own muse.
Her whole life influenced the wardrobe. I mean, like it was the Duke of Westminster.
Duke of
right?
Westminster.
Yes. I mean, where her time in
very
south of France. I
autobiographical.
mean, the time in was it nunnery?
All those
Yeah,
were
absolutely.
the influences?
All
very
influence. Her
much.
whole life. You see it in everything.
And where did her family come from?
Her family, her mother died very early, and then her father put her and her sister in a nunnery.
In a nunnery, and you
Went to-
see that. You see
Wow.
that kind of influence in the clothes.
And apparently he went to America and never came back, so she never saw him after that.
an orphan.
She was an orphan
At a very young age.
Yeah.
at a very young age.
Were Chanel and Vionnet kind of emerging at the same time, or Vionnet just before?
Vionnet a little bit before, and Chanel began. She did her 2-piece suit in the teens, which is extraordinary. You think about it, you associate.
I mean, if you don't have that, fashion
And the idea of using jersey, again, very sort of humdrum
fabrics,
quotidian
yes,
fabrics,
modern fabrics.
and elevate them to
The little black
couture,
dress.
the little black dress. And again, that was fascinating because little black dress made every other woman look overdressed because it was so simple, but so beautifully executed. So it looked simple and became known as the Model T Ford of fashion because it could be endlessly duplicated. In actual fact,
Is that a phrase that came out of that?
yeah, from Vogue, they called the Model T Ford of fashion.
Wow.
So she was.
Another guy that.
So she's my number 3. And then number 4 is Cristóbal Balenciaga, the Spanish designer. And again, I chose him because he's in a way the opposite of Vionnet. Vionnet was all about clothing that clung to the contours of the body, almost like classical sculpture. So she was really a sculptor of fashion, whereas Balenciaga was more of an architect. So he created clothes.
That's an unbelievable concept.
The
architect
versus the sculptor.
Versus the sculptor.
And they were the best at what they did, I think. And so in a way, he was more about cutting. He was an expert cutter.
And where did he get that influence?
He started very young. So his mother was a seamstress, and he learned it really through her. And so he always created clothes, as Anna said, that slightly stood away from the body. They didn't contort it, but they abstracted a female body. So with Vionnet, if you were to look at her clothing on a hanger, it had no hanger appeal at all. You needed a body to animate,
to make it come
it.
alive.
With Balenciaga, it stood on its own. So you see the construction, the darts and the seams. And one of the sort of holy grails for a fashion designer is to create a one-seam garment. So a garment that just has one seam, and it's almost impossible to do. And he did the one-seam coat, and which we have in the museum. So he was an
What year was that?
cutter in 1954.
Wow.
And so I chose them because they're in a way the opposite ends of the spectrum. You have the expert dressmaker in a way, and the expert sort of tailor, somebody who chose a fabric and a bias cut that actually clung to the body, and somebody who created clothing that abstracted the body. So the ideal sculptor, and then the architect. Yeah.
Okay.
They're my 4.
Incredible.
So my 4, as we were talking about before, are not typical designers, but they're figures who at different moments redefine what it means to be a designer. And each of them was a rule breaker who in their own way moved fashion forward and altered the course of its history. And one came out of music and architecture, one came from an art background, one I would describe as the original influencer and multitasker.
Now, do you know her list? Oh God!
I think I gotta.
You know what they are already.
Is the first designer that really brought celebrity into fashion and understood the importance. I mean, was also a great designer, but understood the importance of that. So my first one is Karl and Lagerfeld, and obviously, I think his influence is unparalleled. Oh, sorry. I'm just, getting so excited about Karl Lagerfeld. But not only was he a great designer, and really, he saw fashion in a different way. He saw how to bring it to a much broader audience through the exuberance, the inventiveness of his shows. I mean, I don't know if you remember the shows, but some of them, maybe you
I was at one of them in Paris. It was incredible.
He did things like put us on an airline. He had a rocket go up.
There was a forest at one of them in Paris. It was incredible.
This one was on the beach. This was in a Tyrolean forest. So he understood how to reach.
He came out of.
He started working at Chloe and Fendi, and he was very wealthy. He was born in Hamburg. He was also someone who really could design and communicate his vision to his atelier. He was the fastest worker I've ever seen. You and I could have been sitting here for 6 seconds and he would have had the whole collection drawn. I mean, he just couldn't stop. He was so fast, so furious, and he was interested in everything. Like, he read every book. He was an interior designer. He was a filmmaker. He was an illustrator. He was a cartoonist. He was a linguist. I think he spoke, five or six languages.
What was his first language?
German.
Right. Yes. No, he came from Hamburg.
Yeah.
But
There was that great show about him. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, he started off at Chloe, and then he went to Fendi, where he reinvented what fur could be and handbags could be. But it wasn't really till he came to Chanel, and he took, as Andrew was describing, the codes of Chanel and modernized it. He made it relevant for today's world, and he did it in so many incredible ways, through accessories, like looking at the suit, and whatever was going on in the world, whether it was skateboarding or music or a film, he somehow brought that into the shows. And through that, he brought Chanel to the, I think it's the most successful company working
He
in
seemed
fashion.
constantly curious.
Constantly curious, constantly in motion.
Yeah.
And I always remember him saying to me, Anna, you always have to walk in the street. You have to be out there. You have to see what's happening. And there wasn't anything he didn't know about.
Really?
Yes.
Give the one surprise thing he said to you that you were like, how do you know that? Do you remember?
Because he was a voracious reader.
Oh, wow.
Like when he sent you a book, which he did frequently, he was a great gift giver, and particularly of books. He wouldn't send you one copy. He would send you 6, because he assumed, like himself, that you had 6 libraries, and each of them need to be stocked with the same book, so you wouldn't have to carry them back.
Of course, for all 6 libraries.
Of course, all 6 libraries. That's hysterical.
I would have thought it was because he assumed you were going to want to send the book out, but no, it's for your 6 libraries.
Okay, Karl Lagerfeld.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
At H&M. He was the first
Yes,
designer to
and
H&M.
also, I'm sure you all read about John Galliano signing with Zara. Karl did that. When was that? That was like, he signed, he did that collection with H&M. I know I had it written down, but, and that was considered, something no designer on his level, because he was doing couture at that time. I'll find it.
And that really catapulted him to like a rock star.
And he loved cats.
Yeah.
Did he?
2004.
I think he
Wow.
donated
Wow.
his
When did
estate to
H&M, when
his
did
cat,
H&M
right?
open?
Choupette.
When did
Yes.
H&M even open?
I don't know.
Was that really early in H&M?
Yeah.
It feels very early in
And for him-
H&M's.
but he was not a snob. He was the opposite of a snob. He felt fashion should be for everyone, and he said yes to everything because he was so, as you rightly said, curious. But anyway, he was the original multitasker.
Okay.
And
Can you imagine what he
influencer.
would be doing with AI and design?
Incredible.
I
It would
think
be
about it
incredible.
Incredible.
Right.
So my next choice was Gianni Versace, who was taught to design by his dressmaker mother, and he made his first dress when he was 9. And he,
9.
yeah, he played to his public. He was, it was sort of interesting seeing what was going on in Milan at that time, because there was Giorgio Armani, who of course was dressing the wife and everything was prim and proper. And then Gianni, we always used to laugh and say, well, Gianni's dressing the mistress.
And when he started, where were you when you first saw him? Were
I
you
saw
at
him
Vogue?
I was at Vogue, and I saw him his collections in Milan, and there was an exuberance and a sexiness to
Vogue US or Vogue Britain?
probably here, I think,
Yeah.
first. But I mean, you know what he stood for. He
Yeah.
stood for the body. He stood for sexiness. He stood for glamour.
He was incredible.
You know, the George Michael
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, the famous Elizabeth Hurley dress. The
He was kind of the first to really have
bondage
celebrities.
dress.
Oh no, he had celebrities.
safety-
Oh, he was kind of the first to do
front
that.
row, he
Yeah.
dressed Prince, he dressed Elton John,
Yeah.
he
So
dressed
fun.
Madonna. He understood that you needed to bring that world into the world
Yeah,
of
he brought
fashion.
culture of
Yes.
other arts into fashion.
Yes, and he was also so defined in who he was and what he wanted to be, whether it was the chainmail dresses or all the medallions.
I'm just trying to think how we're going to get to 4 here. But keep going.
He never deviated. You know, he was very clear on who he was and the woman that he was dressing. And he was also such a kind man, such a generous man. His Donatella's children were the same age as mine, and we used to all go on vacation together and spend a lot of time together. And he just was so humble, and you know, there was no security, no people following him. It was just us, you know.
Wow.
There was a very genuine, kind side to Karl. I mean, to Gianni, despite all the
Yeah.
stuff
Flamboyant,
around
so-
him.
yeah.
He
And
loved,
there was a
he
lot-
loved the Met too.
And he loved the Met. He loved the Met.
He did.
He'd always come and get inspiration from various
Yeah.
exhibitions.
So he would walk
Yeah.
Oh,
Before.
they all
Yeah.
come to the Met.
Yeah.
before he started
Yeah.
a season.
Yeah, he would. There's one show that he was completely inspired by a show we did called The Arts of Byzantium.
Yes.
And this whole collection
All
is based
over.
on that exhibition.
What year was that?
Gosh, that would have been in the 90s,
Wow.
mid-90s. And what I was saying, in terms of how he brought everyone together, I always remember at his funeral, and on the front row, you had Princess Diana, Elton John, a whole mix of people, but that just showed
He
you
just
how
kinda kept
he
on
was
touching.
able to sort of and also not have hierarchies.
No.
He was extraordinary.
Or, yeah.
Like Karl.
Yeah, Karl was the same. Then my next choice is Virgil Abloh. And what interests me in Virgil, he's on your list.
No, I knew that. I knew.
You know the name.
I knew him.
But I mean, Virgil came from architecture and was a DJ. And again, I think because of who he was and what he stood for and what he cared about, he changed the idea of what a designer could be. I mean, he didn't go to fashion school. He couldn't design or cut. It was all more of a conversation.
Were you, when he got announced, were you like, that's crazy? I mean, what?
No,
what
I
came-
thought,
that.
this is brilliant. And you have to give so much credit to Bernard Arnault, because what we didn't talk about when we were talking about Alexander McQueen, who nobody knew who he was, when Bernard brought him to Givenchy, or at the same time, he was hiring these two young, never heard of, crazy, eccentric English kids, John Galliano. He brought him to Givenchy and then to Dior. I mean, that took great fearlessness. And again, now,
Incredible
even
act, right?
today,
Really
bringing
amazing.
Jonathan into Dior, that you need people who see that. And he saw what Virgil could be, and now following in his
That's
footsteps,
crazy.
what Pharrell is. And again, coming from another kind of a background, but that world that followed Virgil and admired Virgil, and of course having a star designer of color in a house like that, it just changed the perception, was so inspiring to a different community. And
It brought in a whole new community
Yes.
too. Yeah.
yes, and he was, again, like Gianni, he was the most generous of men. I was doing some work with kids that were immigrants in France, and they had left their countries in Africa, many of them from Ghana. And while they were hopefully waiting for their papers, they played football. And I used to go and see them with this lawyer friend of mine who was also helping them. And I thought to myself, they need a uniform. And I called up Virgil and I told them the story, and they were all like kids, 16, 17, 18, they were called melting passes. And he said, I'm from Ghana. I understand exactly what you're saying.
And what they need.
And what they need, and they need to feel proud. And he designed them these incredible uniforms.
Wow.
And then he invited them all to his show. And somewhere I have a picture of Virgil with
gonna
all
make me
these
cry.
kids. It was so emotional, but that's who he was. And after he died, I had so many emails and letters from people telling me stories just like that one, because there was no one he said no to. And that idea of generosity and supporting communities and mentoring, to me, that's what our community
probably
needs
is
to stand for.
He even posted on his site like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, like a how-to for kids to start a clothing company.
Exactly.
And just like, this is how you do it.
But,
This is how you got to design.
If we're talking about Rushmore, you need to talk about values too.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, Virgil belongs there because of his values and because of his support of his community and communities everywhere. He just was remarkable.
I never knew that guy.
Yeah, amazing.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then my last designer is Coco's
Arch nemesis,
arch enemy, and her name is Elsa Schiaparelli. And she came out of the art world, was friends with Dali, was very influenced by Dali. And while, as Andrew was talking, Chanel was very fluid and everything moved.
Do you guys want Mount Rushmore to be 8?
It's going to be, I know, it's hard.
No, but she put structure back into fashion, and she took the influence of Dali and Man Ray and Picasso, and
Cocteau.
it all Cocteau.
What was the year?
30s is really her heyday.
Yes.
30s, yeah.
Got it.
And actually, we did a show on her work with Prada. But I mean,
And what were her houses? Was she had her own house, or did she?
yes, Elsa
Yeah, Elsa
Schiaparelli.
Schiaparelli.
I
It's
mean,
still in
like
Place
she
Vendôme.
made this amazing lobster hat. She had a real sense of humor. Like, here's the Cocteau influence.
Wow.
But I mean, every woman, whether it was in London or Paris or here, they wanted a Schiaparelli. Today we have Daniel Roseberry designing for it, and it still has the same kind of popularity.
Wow.
But you can see,
Yeah.
that sense of strength that she brought to fashion, the way that Coco brought movement. So,
That's your
and
point.
she was a character. I mean, she hung out with all those people.
Was anybody in her family in fashion?
No, they weren't. She came from quite an aristocratic Italian family.
Yeah. Wow.
So she was like the renegade.
What did
in a
Chanel
way.
call her? That
The-
Italian
the
dressmaker.
little Italian dressmaker.
Yeah.
What was the feud about?
Rivalry.
Rivalry, yeah.
Yes. And
Just who is the better designer?
And I think also what was interesting about Schiaparelli, whereas Chanel was all about good taste and Schiap was all about bad taste. So they had a very different approach to their own practice. And she did
Doesn't seem like she had bad taste.
no, she didn't.
Yeah.
Like, it was big and bold, and there were.
Completely different.
Yeah.
completely
subtle.
different, shocking,
opposite of the
shocking
LPG.
pink.
This is her famous lobster dress. Like, who puts a lobster on a dress? And
Worn by
I
the
wore
Duchess
a
of
copy
Windsor.
her for one of the Met shows. But there was character and fearlessness and drama to what she
Were they the same age?
She wasn't.
Roughly this. I think she's a bit younger. She was younger Schiaparelli.
Got it.
And who? Marissa.
Marissa Berenson was her
Berenson was her
granddaughter.
daughter. And
Wow.
yes, yeah.
All right, so I have.
Those are my four.
I have only one person on my list that matches
Anybody
up.
have? Do you want to go first? Or do you want
No,
me to go
you're
first?
gonna
Fuck. Okay. My list starts with Chanel for reasons already said. I think also she designed something so timeless that it hasn't changed very much in 100 years. And Karl
You're
obviously...
wrong about that.
Okay, well,
Okay,
I'll take
because
it.
I think what's so great about Karl and now Mature is what they've done is taken her codes and
Modernize
modernized
them.
them and broadened them and given them a whole new life. Yes, she gave the codes, but they're nowhere near the same.
That makes sense. But I still
But they're
think-
recognizable. They
They're
are
recognizable.
I still, and like there are certain
Yeah,
things...
use the wrong word.
Well,
The first branded designer.
first brand, well, maybe first branded designer, and there are shapes to it, like the little black dress, or like the bottle for Chanel No. 5 that or what's the
Designer?
she did.
Yeah.
And the bag, what's the famous Chanel what's the bag
Yeah,
called?
the one, the quilted bag
With
with,
the-
the,
with
with
the
the
chain.
chain. Yeah, 501 or something. Yeah.
Some of these things that have lasted.
Well, I love
2.6.
that she
No, she
numbered
endures.
them.
She endures.
Yeah.
I love that she numbered them. I was like, wow, that was
Great.
And some of her designs came out of flaws. So she always hated her feet. She felt her feet were too large. So she developed the two-tone pump to sort of optically shorten her foot. So I love the fact that
That she had that, even that thought.
Yeah, and the
And-
tweeds came from her escapades with the Duke of Westminster in English castles.
Also, I love this quote, this Chanel quote that's like luxury. I'm going to butcher the quote, but like it's luxury is only luxury if it's comfort, or if it's not comfortable, it's not luxury. Something like this.
I love how Balenciaga,
Luxury must be comfortable, otherwise it's not luxury.
and Balenciaga said that she was like a time bomb that you couldn't detonate. She was always about to explode. So
Really?
she had this feisty sort of temperament. Yeah.
Um,
And Karl was good
Was
at
she
the
tall?
maxims. She was tall, and she had
Yeah.
something called the Chanel slout. So she would put her pockets sort of in the seams where you could put your hands, and it would make
Give
you
that
have this
little-
Chanel.
yeah,
It became known as a
shape.
Chanel slout. So she even changed posture.
Wow.
I'm saying Armani.
Wow.
Kind of for
It's a good one.
the men's suit as we know it is the Armani suit, and I think that you could.
Well, they never. I was about to say they didn't mention men. He's
Well, I think women's.
he was incredible at
He
women.
really stayed in
in women.
Yeah, in women.
It's a great
Yeah,
Not
but-
that Georgia didn't do women,
He
but
did
he was
women.
known
I mean,
for
his
his
men.
men. Yeah.
And then I guess in a way for men did a little bit what Chanel did for women, 50 years prior.
Yeah, and he understood the
Yeah, but
celebrity culture.
he was like, whether it's true or not, he was the first one to kind of go into the movie business.
Well, like Gianni.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Understood.
Here and American
Exactly,
Gigolo,
exactly.
and it's still, obviously
Wow, I'm impressed with these first two.
And it also builds an empire of all empires, But those suits still today, I think, like when I think of a suit, I think of an Armani suit, even more than a Tom Ford suit, or I think of an Armani suit. I wanted to put one that's just pure craft, so I put Alaïa on.
Wow, taking my list.
So you
was on our
you
reserve
chose
list.
designers that are no longer with us too.
That are well, we're all subject to the same.
Yes.
So, these are all late designers. Alaïa, because I think probably in this tradition of Vionnet, just
It's clear.
it's clear. It's like these. I'm going to make a garment from beginning to end. I also love that Alaïa didn't do a collection every year. He did collections when he was prepared to do collections, when he felt inspired for it. It feels.
No, he beat his own drum very much so.
Did you know him?
Of course I did. I mean, he actually had the most extraordinary collection of costumes.
Oh, really?
And
He had been collecting.
Very
Oh,
much,
he was
yeah.
like a magpie. There wasn't anything he couldn't buy, and Andrew was often bidding against him.
Yeah, he
right?
would never stop
And you
bidding.
went to see the collection
We
after he
did, yeah.
died,
It was
right? Everything
extraordinary.
was sort of in
Did you
plastic
get that?
bags.
No, now they have a foundation. So
Oh,
they share,
wow.
but it's what's extraordinary. He would pretend to his partner he was going to the pharmacy to get some tablets,
Yeah, he was just
and he'd
going-
go to an auction house and come back with a plastic bag. He wouldn't even unpack it. So when he passed away,
It's all in
and
plastic
we
bags.
it was just like
How did he
jam-packed.
died by falling downstairs or something? What was the crazy stuff?
Yeah, it was a yeah.
Yeah.
Sort
We
of
don't want to
freak
talk.
accident,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was, as Anna said, he collected Balenciaga, Vionnet, and all of those influences you can see in his work.
Wow.
And I think you're right. I think like Balenciaga, his design approach was very iterative. So it was all about perfecting a design as opposed to doing something new every
It's
season.
more in the
Very
Balenciaga
much.
camp than the Karl Lagerfeld.
Yeah, it's
Versace
really-
camp.
totally.
Like,
But they were great.
It's
friends.
about
They were great admirers of each other, weren't they?
Yeah.
Alaïa and
Really?
Karl.
Fourth.
And my fourth is Yves Saint Laurent because I think you have those.
Yeah, I mean, you
have my entire list.
you stole my list.
For I mean, so many reasons, but a big one for me is kind of brought this tux or like the suit to women, which I think is pretty amazing. I think his work at Dior, obviously.
Schiaparelli had done a lot of that before.
I'm just getting destroyed by him.
Yeah. I love that you're doing this to him. I love it.
I always felt that Saint Laurent was very influenced by Schiaparelli.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
You look at
and
the
where did
shapes,
you see in the
and,
shape?
well, he did the
Colours.
Picasso jacket with the colours, the shocking pink, which was her colour, all those things that Eve made his signature. She had done them beforehand.
And this idea of dressing from the waist up, you know, when because
All about the crop
when
jacket.
Scap came into her sort of like power, it was during the 30s, during cafe culture. So most women were sat down. So it was really important to her that all the decoration was on the jacket, and Saint Laurent did that very much too.
And also something. Oh, go ahead.
No, but I do think he did define to me the way you described Giorgio doing it for men. He did define the smoking suit and a pantsuit for
Yes.
women that was
That's my note.
definitive.
Very much.
Yeah.
He also, I thought,
And-
kind of in reading about him, I thought this was worth first, but he was the first to do ready-to-wear. Like
Yeah.
at a high fashion level, he was the first to do ready-to-wear, which I think in terms of impact is undeniable in
Yeah,
how we
and
currently
I think
relate to
also
fashion.
he was so influenced by the street. So that's something else I think was so fascinating about him, is that he would go to the left bank and be inspired by the beatnik. So that idea of bringing street style into the haute couture, he was very much one of the first.
But
ones to
wasn't
do
he a
that.
designer's designer? I mean, he was like.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
he was, and him and Karl.
Had
were-
the rivalry,
huge
like
rivalry.
Schiaparelli and,
Oh,
and
those two had
beef.
beef.
Yes.
And they were
Really?
both
They're
entered
very
the
competitive.
Woolmark competition, and
Was there a season that all of a sudden it came to a head?
it was
It
ongoing,
It
wasn't
was ongoing, yes.
Where did it start from? Just because they're both great designers and they just.
And they were very good friends, I mean, at the beginning, and then it just took a difficult time.
Are you competitive with anybody? Are you?
No, I'm not competitive. I'm back as I'm a civil guy.
It was very hard for me not to put Virgil. The only reason I didn't, and because I watched it happen. I watched Ben Trill and him DJing into Pyrex, into Off-White, the only reason I didn't was because he wasn't around
his
long.
career
These
was
guys
too
had
short.
been
You were
around for
scared
so
of what
long.
she was going to say, but then she put it on her list. That's
No,
what you were.
I thought you would. I
His
thought you'd have massive
influence
respect.
was so enormous
Yeah,
and
yeah.
undeniable, how even if it was so tragically short.
I agree.
Okay. I have Coco Chanel.
She gets
So
to
she's
go
on,
up
she's
there.
on.
Yeah, she's for sure. I have Christian Dior.
Okay.
Restored optimism post World War II. The new look and kind of a radical return to ultra feminism, femininity in the silhouettes, and global. I mean, I don't think you can. I mean, after the war. I mean,
He understood fashion should travel.
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
but the new look was the old look, because Balenciaga was pioneering that look.
So
in the 30s.
you think Christian Dior took that from Balenciaga?
Balenciaga
in
was a better
1938, Balenciaga
Was it better
creating-
designer?
Yeah, I think he was. He understood cut and construction.
She just smacked me around. Okay. I had Yves Saint Laurent.
Okay.
So everything that you said. And then I had Alaïa. And now one of the reasons I had Alaïa.
This is the first time we've ever had similar lists.
Yeah. Well, first of all, not to kind of.
Okay.
My wife kind of took, for our wedding, she took one of his original fabrics and made an outfit out of it. So I had to put Alaïa.
Personal.
Okay. So, and then I just had, for me, the kind of defining moments were Chanel was liberation, Dior was silhouette, idealized beauty, YSL was power, cultural language, and then Alaïa was the body and sensual, kind of incredible. So, all right.
So how many do we have?
Now
We have some in common.
Yeah.
So, okay, our final four.
Well, I think more importantly, we should.
What do we have?
We have, so Chanel, I think everybody has Chanel on their list.
I had Karl.
Oh, you had Karl.
Yes, I didn't.
Well, three of the four of us have Chanel. It feels safe to
Yeah.
put Chanel on the list.
I think so.
Okay.
And are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so
She said yes as opposed to no, which I do love.
okay, so Andrew has
No,
Frederick
but you know
Worth.
the funny thing is, it's interesting because when you think of Rushmore, and when we did the new Rushmore, there was only one, and it really came, wasn't all the way to Reagan. It was only
FDR.
FDR. It was interesting hearing you kind of how it, like Balenciaga influenced Dior or influenced this one, which we would have never, had that knowledge. So I think it's pretty hard.
Well, this is the constant conversation, and you kind of mentioned this at the beginning with criteria, is weighing the innovator, the inventor, with the kind of popularizer,
Well,
in music
with
too.
that,
and-
I totally argue for Karl because he brought fashion to the biggest, broadest audience, and he changed the way people looked at our world. Don't you agree?
I think Karl, in a way,
Don't just say yes, okay? Those
I
are
think
good
it's
answers.
tricky with Karl because for me it's between Karl and Virgil because
Yeah, they-
Really?
I think
In terms of the second spot?
between those two or between
just for
those-
that-
just
that-
for
what
What they
for
stand
those
for,
two.
because
yeah.
Virgil was
Popular, like-
took up the Karl mantle
very
in a
much.
way and brought it to his community.
Man of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what crazy great piece of, I understand the cultural what he did, like as a designer, not that he was a designer, but he became a designer. Like what is the
Karl or Virgil? You're saying?
Virgil? Like what's the,
I think it's a fair critique.
Well, I think it's sad that
'Cause we are
he
saying
passed away-
designer.
He passed away so quickly
Yeah.
because I think that
He was finding it.
He was
don't-
really
he was finding it.
towards the
in
end.
the
That's
in
why
the,
I
in
was-
the Vuitton shows towards the end.
was
they
finding
were
his own
really, They was
vocabulary.
finding a point of view and defining it. And we have pieces in
We
the
do,
in the
yeah, we
in the
do.
collection.
I don't know how you put him on because as
his career is so
influencers,
short.
it was so short.
Yeah. I think between the two, I think Karl's influence is probably greater, and his
Yeah.
career was obviously vast.
Vast.
Longevity,
vast.
yes.
And as Anna said, he was able to appeal to the masses through H&M. He was the hardest worker I've ever known.
Okay, you're going number
And
two,
he
you're
was
going Karl.
a total independent. You have to remember that. He never worked for one person. He was always free.
And he
Why
found a
didn't
way.
he work for him, like go back and start his
He
own?
did, right?
He did, yeah.
He did.
But always not.
It
always,
wasn't as successful as the
No, it
others,
was.
yeah.
He needed those
Structure. Yeah.
codes. It helped him.
And he was able to come into all these, like, different,
Yeah.
just
And
like,
he
over and
never
over
was
again.
with just one house.
Yeah.
He never wanted to be tied down.
So even when he was, like, working with Chloe, he was doing other...
Yeah.
Always.
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 Really?
I think what's interesting, if you compare him to Saint Laurent, I think what's fascinating is I think Karl really predicted where fashion was heading. I think Saint Laurent still clung to quite a sort of old-fashioned idea of the haute couture, and in terms of artistic influences and what it meant. And I think Karl saw where fashion was heading and the idea of styling and the idea of working for different labels. So I do think if you compared two of them,
Yeah, but didn't he
he knew where it was going.
But didn't he create, I think you said it, like luxury ready to wear? Yves Saint Laurent?
But
I mean,
also...
that
Very
was the
much,
biggest
very much,
influence
yeah.
of all time.
Very much.
Yeah, but maybe that's not a design decision as much as it is a business decision.
And there was ready to wear in America
And
before that.
his business partner, Pierre Berger, was really the one behind that. I mean, Yves was...
Okay.
Yves was much more focused on the clothes.
Design.
Very
Wouldn't you
much, yeah,
agree? And
absolutely.
he had this partner until he died, Pierre Berger, that ran everything.
So let's put Karl up for now, and we're going to keep... All right, so we have Coco and Karl. So Anna has Johnny Versace, and has Virgil, we've just discussed, and has
What
Elsie.
about Elsa?
Elsa,
Just for her
her
fearlessness
theatre.
and her theatre and her, I don't know, the way she looked at women, to me, it was just so original.
So
and
she would be she's the opposite of Coco.
Yes.
Yes.
And she, her career, she wasn't
She's
able
like
to.
Gianni and Giorgio, yeah.
Unlike Chanel, who was able to like move with the times, you know. So when she
She
came
was
back,
quite structured,
She
set,
couldn't
yeah.
really, after the Second World War, you know, she resurrected her career, but it didn't really go anywhere. So her heyday was really in the 30s with surrealism and her collaborations with artists. I think what Chanel did, and she's already on, but what Chanel did was, you know, after in 1954 when she came back, she again created this look that she always had from the teens, in a way which was a complete sort of rejection of the new look and Christian Dior, and it continues to this day. So I think that Scap's legacy is about collaborating with artists, which is huge.
Huge.
And as Anna said, the hard look.
Yeah, but you know, when you have Chanel, it has
Lasted. Endured.
I agree.
You know, just
Well,
lasted.
Schiaparelli is still with us, doing really well.
Okay.
But as well
I can
as,
shut up.
but over a Versace, over an Armani, over
I don't know that that's our criteria, is
yeah.
how successful the business is, but
The impact.
what she created was
Well,
so
that's why I would go
strong that
Balenciaga.
in the hands of a right designer like Daniel Rosebery, it is very successful today. I mean, I think we should talk about Balenciaga.
Oh, that's
I do
what
too.
Because
think
to
for sure,
me, I think Balenciaga should be.
That's
I
very
mean,
much.
That's an easy one to say yes.
And he
Yes.
predicted, you know, he predicted the new look in the 30s. He predicted the miniskirt in the 50s. So he was like a prophet as well.
And I know we didn't put it as the criteria, but the line continues. I mean, in all the structures, even though they keep on getting,
You know,
they-
all the designers go back to it again and
yeah.
again, and when they come
We're
up
adding
to
Balenciaga.
when they come up.
regardless of what you say.
I put it on. I mean, my
Okay,
voice
so we
counts.
have Chanel.
Also, it kind of
Sorry.
feels like, as John Meacham would say, that there's kind of a dialogue between Chanel, like a figurative dialogue between Chanel and Balenciaga,
Very much.
Yes.
Very much.
ongoing.
and Karl and Virgil in a way, but
You got to pick a fourth.
I'd argue with either Vionnet or Charles Frederick Worth. Just
Well,
because
who's your? One question. Who's the George Washington?
Worth for sure. Yeah.
But Vionnet may be, but like the bias cut may be the most.
I think and the fact that, you know, she influenced Azzedine, all of the
John
great
Galliano.
design, John Galliano, Versace.
Yeah.
So she's somebody who really did influence so many other designers. Charles Frederick Worth pioneered the haute couture, but his legacy isn't as impactful, I don't think. I mean, the blueprint, you know, he set up the seasonal.
I'm okay with.
Vionnet.
nice to have an unexpected.
2 women and 2 men.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we'd have.
Two
So
women.
right now we have Coco Chanel, Cristóbal Balenciaga, Vionnet, and Lagerfeld.
Yeah, very happy.
I think that's. Are you
We're
happy?
Yeah, very
Are
much.
you happy?
Yeah.
Agree.
Wow, we
That's a great list.
happy. Another great
Thank
show.
you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
Thank you.
much. That was incredible.
So much.
Well done, Andrew. I think they were all your people.
3 of them, yeah.
I'll be modest, just 3.
Damn it.
Well,
Charles
thank you.
Frederick
This
Worth.
was incredible.
Oh,
and I
well,
thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
And I
having
cannot
us.
wait for the Met. And
What
it's gonna be
what we love about this is we know nothing of most of these categories. So we're gonna go. We gotta come in and talk to experts,
No, but
and it's
you-
fun.
But great
You
choices.
faked it well.
Yeah, really good choices.
Well,
Armani
thank you
was a
very
great
much.
choice.
Now I know my wife will not hang me because I kind of represent.
She'll find a reason.
Yeah,
She'll find a reason.
All right, guys. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
I really appreciate it. I hope you guys had fun.